Broadcasting live from the Newsmax studio in New York City. A fusion of politics, commentary, entertainment, and sports. Steve and his team bring you the latest news and opinion now. Here is Steve Malzberg.
All right, folks, welcome back. Jay Sekulow joins us momentarily, and we'll let you hear some of the exchanges from today's committee testimony from the IRS chairman, and it got really heated, and rightfully so. But there's a great piece on FoxNews.com. 9 times that the Obama administration has been blindsided. And the articles, not only from Fox News, but Politico and others, where the administration through Carney or Obama himself claim that they didn't know. They just found out. They never heard of this before. It's really, really something. And we're talking about what's going on in Iraq. Okay, that's number one. We're talking about Russia and Ukraine. We're talking about the NSA spying against foreign leaders. We're talking about the VA waiting list scandal. We're talking about the IRS targeting scandal. The Department of Justice seizing the Associated Press phone records. Fast and Furious, and it dates all the way back. Number 9 on their list is from April of 2009, when Air Force One flew over, or was it Marine One? I think it was Air Force One, flew over New York City, and people couldn't imagine what was going on. And turned out the White House said they knew nothing about it. It was a mistake. So all these big major things, the same claim put forth by this White House, we didn't know. We just found out about this, and wow, that's quite a list of things that they should have known about. All right, folks, Jay Sekulow joins us, but before we get to him, I want you to watch this from today's committee hearing with the IRS
told
commissioner.
Us on Monday because we asked you whether any other hard drives crash. This is unbelievable. You told us on May that you were going to give us all of Lois Lerner's emails, and you learned in February that this crashed.
I did not learn in February it was a crash, and we told you on Monday. I'm
not asking you a question. I'm just making a statement.
My apologies.
You are the Internal Revenue Service. You can reach into the lives of hardworking taxpayers, and with a phone call, an email, or a letter, you can turn their lives upside down. You asked taxpayers to hang on to 7 years of their personal tax information in case they're ever audited, and you can't keep 6 months worth of employee emails?
All right, Paul Ryan reading the Riot Act to the Commissioner of the IRS, and joining us as promised is Jay Sekulow, Chief Counsel for the American Center for Law and Justice. Wrote a great piece at FoxNews.com, Lost IRS Emails, Get Real, Team Obama, We're Not That Gullible. Hey, Jay, great to talk to you again, sir.
Good to talk to you, Steve.
All right, I mean, this is just beyond bizarre, and because of the fact that we have a media that all but that 3 of the evening news, all the networks of the evening news ignored the news that the hard drive was destroyed. This is how they get away with it, I guess, or at least up to this point.
Well, this is how they're trying to get away with it, but I think what this hearing showed today, and you played the clip from Congressman Ryan, is that nobody in Congress really buys this, and even the Democrats that are trying to, cover for the White House on this, in their heart of hearts, they know this is absurd. I mean, it's not just Lois Lerner's emails that are now, mysteriously vanished. It's the 6 other people, by the way, all of which are defendants in our lawsuit. All of theirs are gone too. And this whole idea that, oh, it was, and Lois Lerner said, well, things happen. So what we've got now is an open line of communication between the White House and the IRS on this through Nicole Flax. You got an email from Lois Lerner to Nicole Flax that says, let's bring criminal cases against these conservative groups. Let's piece those together. And there's a fascinating part of the email exchange between Lois Lerner and the IT representative at the IRS. And when she asked for this help to restore her personal files to her computer, she put in the subject line, careful what you ask for. And I think there's a message in that for all of us.
It is bizarre. I don't think that we've seen anything like it in quite a long time. And of course, the president sat there with Bill O'Reilly and said not a smidgen of impropriety. And there were just a couple of crazy dudes in Cincinnati. I want you to hear more. And there was a gasp in the galley, if you will, here during the testimony when the IRS commissioner admitted that Lois Lerner's hard drive was thrown away and probably melted down. This is 37. Let's watch this.
Your letter describes the Lois Lerner emails as being unrecoverable.
Correct.
But fails to mention where the damaged hard drive is today. Do you know where the actual hard drive is that crashed in 2011?
I'm advised the actual hard drive, after it was determined that it was dysfunctional and that with experts no emails could be retrieved, was recycled and destroyed in the normal process. This was.
So was it physically destroyed?
That's my understanding.
So was it melted down? Do you know?
I have no idea what the recycler does with it. This was 3 years ago.
3 years ago, dude. Remember, we heard that before. Jay?
Well, Steve, yeah, I think what you've got, when you listen to that exchange with the commissioner, I think here's what you've got. This whole idea that that was 3 years ago. Remember, the IRS crash of Lois Lerner's computer, the alleged crash, takes place 10 days after. 10 days after, she is receiving notification from Congressman Camp that they're concerned about targeting of conservative organizations. And 10 days later, the emails mysteriously are part of this so-called crash. And then we find out that the hard drives are melted, basically, and all this information is gone. By the way, there's a Federal Record-Keeping Act, Requirement Act, that is in play here, and they should have been keeping those documents in hard copy, especially when they're talking about indictments of individuals or a targeting program that they were engaged in. So this whole idea that this is gone, it's moot, it's gone, we'll never receive it, you know what? That means in our civil suit, everything we've alleged is deemed admitted. And that's the position we're going to take in our civil litigation. But this is a cover-up of unbelievable proportions. I think it's nothing we've seen in our lifetime.
I agree with you. Now, just discuss for those who don't know how many people you are, how many clients you have, and what the status of the lawsuits are.
So we have 41 organizations. By the way, not all Tea Party, some conservative groups, some that were educational organizations, weren't politically motivated at all, but they had words like liberty or freedom or something like that in their name, so they got basically taken up in this dragnet. But the litigation right now is the government filed, they hired outside lawyers, and so in addition to the Department of Justice, there's two major law firms in Washington, D.C. Defending the IRS and the employees of the IRS. And then we filed a second amended complaint. The government filed a motion to dismiss. We responded to that. That's pending. But interestingly, in a companion case involving a pro-Israel organization, same targeting involved, a Obama appointee federal district court judge in our same district in Washington, D.C., held that the lawsuit could move forward and that discovery can take place. So we're really optimistic that we're going to be able to move this case forward aggressively, and we're going to hold the IRS accountable.
I sense some arrogance here on the part of the IRS commissioner in his answers. We had Congressman Bustani on yesterday, and he was looking forward to this, and he said that, I said, are you calling for his ouster? And he said, well, he better start cooperating, he better turn this around. That's what he was put in there to do and to organize this. And I said, when does he need to start doing that by? And he said, yesterday. And he said, and I can't wait to hear what he has to say tomorrow, which is today. And based on what I've heard him say, I don't see how anybody could be pleased with him. Let me play one more where Dave Camp asks if an apology is in order for all this. And this is cut 38. Let's watch.
What I didn't hear in that was an apology to this committee.
I don't think an apology is owed. Not a single email has been lost since the start of this investigation. Every email has been preserved that we have produced or will produce by the end of this.
You don't think the time period between January 2009 and April 2011 is relevant to this investigation?
Two things. His no apology necessary. I want you to weigh in on that. And secondly, as the congressman followed up, how can he say every email has been provided when that time period is now in question?
Because, Steve, the commissioner said, since the investigation has been undertaken, and the investigation did not start until last year. So that was a very calculated response by the Commissioner of Internal Revenue Service. By the way, I was a lawyer in the beginning of my legal career with the Office of Chief Counsel, IRS. I was a trial lawyer, so I've been inside of this agency. But that was a very calculated statement by the Commissioner of Internal Revenue when he said, since the beginning of the investigation. That's only been for the last 12 to 13 months. So sure, that was a truthful statement, but it wasn't in response to what Congressman Camp and others had asked, which is, don't you find it ironic that 10 days after the initial letter came in questioning the IRS's activities, that these emails were destroyed? With regard to the apology, I would have started my statement, if I was the commissioner of the IRS, saying, first, I want to tell you that as the Commissioner of Internal Revenue Service, I've only been there for 6 months, I want to apologize for information that's not come out appropriately, when it's not come out correctly, and for the activities that the IRS engaged in during this time frame. It's inexcusable. There's no excuse for it. And we are investigating it internally as well as the external investigation. And that would have changed the entire tone of the hearing. But instead, he is protecting the president. And that's why he came off so arrogant, because that was the strategy they decided to utilize.
All right, so moving forward, Jay, where do you see this going?
You have to have a special prosecutor. The president's never going to allow that to happen.
By the way, the IRS, he was asked about it, and he said
no.
Finally said, no, he does not endorse it. Yeah.
Yeah, he does. They said it costs too much money.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, they're spending, tens of millions of dollars trying to find emails that don't exist. I think, look, our civil litigation is critical here. The FBI investigation is absolutely bogus. We've told our clients, we've instructed our clients and notified the FBI that we are no longer voluntarily cooperating with the FBI since that email circulated about the, maybe criminal charges pending. And I think it's going to be really our civil litigation moving forward with subpoena power, and they don't produce the documents, they lose the case. And then they've got a real problem. So I think Congress should keep pushing. I think we should push for a special prosecutor. As more information comes out, the president may be put in a situation where he has to do it. He may not have any choice.
All right. Jay Sekulow, Chief Counsel for the great ACLJ, the American Center for Law and Justice. Keep up the good work, you and your organization, on so many fronts.
Dave.
Look forward to talking to you again.
Appreciate it very much.
Take care. All right, folks. He says he's never seen anything like it in his lifetime, and I got to agree. This is huge. Huge, notwithstanding the fact that I have the story right here that not one of the 3 networks have covered the fact that Lois Lerner threw away her hard drive or recycled it. I know she's going to win the Environmentalist of the Year award for recycling her hard drive. It is beyond comprehension that a media, or someone that calls themselves a media, or something that calls itself a media, has no interest in this. We do, and the panel does too, and we're coming back with them. Don't go away.